Good evening, fellow friends of Twitch and the internet. I hope you are well. I hope your week has been uneventful, or if it's been eventful, it's at least been enjoyable. Welcome to yet another Friday night Twitch stream. Standing today, at least for the beginning. My back needs a break from sitting. I was sitting too long today. I didn't stand up enough. And I do have the flexibility to sit and stand, which I appreciate and I'm very grateful for. I know a lot of people are stuck at their kitchen table or somewhere else in their apartment or house, wherever they could find. And yeah, I'm fortunate to have a beautiful space that I can use to work from home, and I'm very grateful for that. Yes, today should be very interesting because I'm doing something where I will be completely out of my depth, so that's normal. But yeah, I will be looking at something that I've wanted to look at for a really long time, and that is BI notebooks. If you're not familiar with the concept, then we're gonna walk through it a little bit first, so we can see what a BI notebook actually is. And then I think we will get started directly by kicking it off with Jupyter Notebook. And there's a reason I picked that, so that is yeah, that is something I will explain a little bit in a little bit about why I chose to start with Jupyter Notebooks. So first thing, BI notebook. What is a BI notebook? Well, if you're familiar with the concept of code, like SQL, you're probably here for that reason. I don't know. Do say hi in chat, by the way. This is a friendly stream in terms of learning. Like, you're more than welcome to ask questions at any time. This isn't like a presentation or something like that, or a monologue. So if you're familiar with code, like SQL or R or Python or any language that is basically used to handle data, then you'll also be familiar with the fact that when you write code, there's a lot of thought that goes into writing the code that you're writing. Obviously, there's like a function behind it, right? There's a reason why you're writing something a certain way. Take, for example, you have some kind of data set, and you could twist that data set like 100 different ways, but it really depends on what kind of questions you're trying to ask and what you're trying to do with the data afterwards and all that kind of stuff. And so it makes sense to have another semantic layer on top of your code to say, hey, can I describe what my code is doing? And typically people do that with comments in their code. But there's a problem with that. If you comment in line with your code, whether it's SQL, Python, R, it doesn't matter, your code becomes quite messy. It's no longer just purely functional. It's then functional, but then also has all of this explanation part in it. And it kind of, because you don't have a lot of formatting options, right? You basically just need to comment out the lines where you're writing your comments. That's probably the reason why it's called commenting, right? So those lines don't actually execute when you execute your code. And that's kind of the issue, is that then it kind of just intersperses your code and kind of breaks up what it's like to read it. And that's like the first thing. And then on top of that, when you're working with data, certainly I've had this problem, and on stream we've probably seen this a fair few times as well. Basically, it's so hard to visualize the data when it's only in a table, which is why we've done stuff like use Metabase to actually visualize our queries. So we could see, bar charts or other types of visualizations to get a better understanding of the data that we're looking at, because that is, after all, kind of the end goal, right? I mean, we are manipulating data for analytical purposes. We're not just manipulating data kind of for the fun of it. I mean, yes, we are doing it for fun, although it depends on what your definition of fun is. I mean, you're here on a Friday night, so that really depends on your definition of fun. But I would say, like, we are trying to get something out of that data. So we kind of need to search for ways to understand it the best. And so visualizations are really important for that. And I think it is something that is a challenge, because most solutions that allow you to query most code that allows you to query something or allows you to access a database or some kind of data set isn't really geared towards visualization. I say that generically. Why is that? Is because like an IDE like DataGrip. So I've used DataGrip on stream since I've started streaming, more or less. It was using DataGrip. So if you're not familiar with it, it's like the VS Code for data people, let's say. Just allows you to access the data directly in the database and allows you to write SQL or whatever other code you'd actually like to write. And you kind of have the issues that it's always just the result of whatever your query is always going to be a table. It's never going to be anything else. Yes, there are plugins, for example, with Postgres, which allows you to visualize something on a map. But that is the exception, and that's a real challenge because it really hinders your understanding. So when you have something like DataGrip, let me just see if we can bring this up so that I can also visualize this problem to you. So we're gonna have to switch over to my other screen. I'm just firing up Docker here. I just wanted to show you a little bit about what my thoughts are before we dive into this. So that's interesting. Okay. So it's interesting because when you actually search for BI notebook or business intelligence notebook, you actually don't get a lot of answers, a lot of results. So let's switch over, and then I can just show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. So we're just getting our database up and running. Let me bring this up for you. So yeah, I'm just bringing up here Postgres, and it's just our Postgres database. Indie Monkey, hello, nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. Matteo, also very nice to see you. Welcome back. Great to see you on a Friday night. I have a small technical issue with my JetBrain thing, but it doesn't matter so much. So what I'm talking about today, if you're just joining now, is the era of BI notebooks. BI notebooks are said to be the holy grail, right? Basically that you can do everything together. So something like, for example, Mode or Looker or Tableau or all these kind of BI tools. So for example, Tableau. All of these tools allow you to extract data from somewhere, right? They allow you to write some kind of query or manipulate data and visualize it. But there's something missing from that, and that is the semantic explanation, basically descriptions and kind of the story behind why the code came about to be that way and how someone should interpret those things. And that's what a lot of times people try to do with Tableau. They try to like, create like one sheet in the workbook that explains all the metrics in the dashboard. And I don't feel like that is the most sensible way to do it. I don't think that that really helps users understand what they're looking at. It doesn't help someone understand also the technical side, because really you need to explain both the code and what someone is looking at. So you need to explain the visualization, but also how the data came to be in that way. Let me give you an example. If I write a SQL query, let's look at example SQL for, I don't know, metrics. Let's just Google something. Let's just find like some random SQL. Okay, so Redash, it's a BII tool. So imagine you had some kind of normalizing statement, right? And now your job was to document this. Then you would say, oh, I want to write this code, but I also need to explain, like, why am I putting something like this in here? Like, why am I transforming this data that way? What's the necessity behind that? What's driving that? Maybe it's a business decision, maybe it's a technical change, maybe it's it was a bug or something, or maybe it's absolutely necessary for the type of analysis that you're doing. And the thing is, we can't know that. We can't read this and know what's happening with the data. It's not that simple. We'd actually have to read every single line. We'd have to understand the underlying data. And that's not, in my opinion, that's not the job of someone to do that. So what's really interesting is this blog post is actually already really close to what I think a BI notebook is, which is basically exactly here. We have code with no comments in it. There maybe should be a few comments here and there, but okay. So we have this bottom layer, the code, the execution, the thing that is actually doing something, pulling data from somewhere, transforming it, outputting it. Then there's all the explanations. It doesn't matter what this is, I just picked some random stuff. The explanations. Why are we doing it this way? This is what we're doing first, etc. Like, this is how I got to that point. They might want to add something about business as well, about, okay, this was the business case behind it, etc. You can write whatever you want. It's free form, right? You can format it nicely. You can make it look good. And then the third part, the visualization. These are just screenshots, which is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about embedded visualizations. Embedded. So if I change something in the query up here, it would actually change the visualization. And that is, for me, those three layers in the BI notebook. So the code on the bottom, then you have the semantic explanations, and then you have the visualizations that are illustrating what you're trying to do in the first place. Like, that's the end result, right? And I think that is what BI notebooks are going for. And there are quite a few kind of BI tools, as we see in this list from Panoply. This stream is not sponsored by them. I just happened to find this list, which is a good one. So there's platforms like Mode, which are highly collaborative. So I just need to turn this slightly down for me. Hope the music levels are still okay for you. So there's like platforms like Mode, which are really, really modern, or Looker, that allow you to integrate like lots of different colleagues and share things and really like collaborate on reports or ad hoc analysis really easily. But the semantic layer in the middle is missing for me. Like, the explanations of how things get there. These are not features that are in typical BI solutions. Solutions like Trevor, which actually I did use on Panoply's stream a few weeks back, when we did a sponsored stream with them. You can go check out the videos on YouTube, if you missed those streams, they have visualization ingrained, so they do like a lot of different things, but they again don't offer this semantic kind of, I would say like almost a blog format that allows you to sort of explain things as you go along. A solution like Count is kind of new because this is actually full stack. This is really all 3 layers. You can interface with the data, build a semantic explanation, and also share analysis and build those kind of stories. So there may be a stream upcoming with Count. Can't promise anything right now, but it is likely that we will look at this as a contender to kind of the big boys in the room, Jupyter or Jupyter notebooks. And there are all kinds of different routes you can go, and I'm not looking to start like the great tool war of 2021 or something like that. But so there are tools like Metabase, which we've looked at before. So code, and then you go straight to visualization. That middle semantic layer is missing. Redash is very similar from what I understand. I've only used it once or twice. And basically, what it comes down to is Jupyter notebooks are the, let's say, holy grail of business intelligence notebooks. If anyone here in chat has ever used Jupyter, say so, please, because I have not. To the point that I have not even installed Jupyter yet. That's part of today's task. There's a reason I didn't do this, and there's a reason I chose Jupyter, and I will explain both of those things now. So typically, I have used Jupyter and better Jupyter Lab. Wonderful. Indie Monkey, I'm very grateful that you're here, because I will probably have a lot of questions, and other people may have questions that I won't be able to answer. The reason that I didn't do anything yet is because I want to show a kind of view of someone who's getting into this topic, which I am, because I haven't used BI notebooks really before. I mean, I know about them, but I haven't really used them. And so I want to show what it's like for someone to actually go through that process from the beginning. A long time ago, so I might not be the best help. I'm sure that you will remember a lot. If I were to ask questions, I'm sure you'll be very helpful. So that's the first thing. And typically on previous streams, I also tended to prepare a few things in advance. In the beginning, for example, I would download a data set and clean it up a little bit, and then it would be ready for analysis on stream. And then I realized that cleaning up data is part of our job. We can't get around that. So I think it's so important to actually show the reality and not try and gloss over it and say the data analyst is great, you're just going to get amazingly formatted data sets and really great problem statements and really good questions from the business, because that's not the reality. That's not what I've experienced, and that's not what I know to be the reality. And so why Jupyter Lab? Jupyter Lab is basically the OG in the room. First of all, open source. I am a huge fan of open source software. I think it is necessary. I understand capitalist society, and I understand companies creating software, and their software can be better than open source software. But for an individual like myself who wants to spend time researching a topic like this, I am extremely grateful that there is open source software, because that allows me to install this kind of solution and play around with it. And the last few streams I've been learning R. This would be a great way for me to practice some of the R I've been learning with the dataset. So I'm very grateful for open source software. I haven't found any other BI notebooks that are open source other than Jupyter. If someone has heard of one, feel free to suggest or let me know. I haven't found one yet on my search. Matteo says, I never use these tools because my focus at the moment is the tracking. I'm really curious about it. Yes, and I came more or less to the same conclusion. Like, I was working for a long time in orchestrating the data and figuring out how the data gets stored somewhere and analyzing it. And when you get to the analysis part, you're like, well, I'm missing in a typical dashboarding environment like Data Studio, for example. I really struggle. I struggle because I want to be able to explain things, and having these huge long-winded explanations in the dashboard about how the metric came to be is not the answer. That's really not the objective of the dashboard. And also sometimes we don't need a dashboard. Sometimes we just need a really, really long semantic explanation with some code, and then 1 or 2 charts to explain something, depending what the problem was. And I would like, ideally, my kind of vision, if I would kind of sketch my ideal solution for y'all. My ideal solution is basically going to be, I would like something that is exactly like a blog, right? So you have like this blog title. Let's say it's like, I don't know. Let's call this the BI notebook of 2049. So like we're thinking in the future, right? I can make this bigger for you all as well, because I should probably not leave that on screen. But basically I have like why MRR decreased last month, or some business question. Obviously it should be really good. The business stakeholder blah 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 told me that they have this. You can do this with Jupyter Lab by using the cell content as markdown. Exactly. So I'll get exactly to Jupyter Lab how this works, because I understand that it's possible. I just don't know how to do it yet. So there's some long-winded explanation, and then you would say, you know, first thing, I need to get my data from table X, and it's like, and then there's a code block in here. So you would have here, right? You have I don't know. You don't even have real code, but I can like write semantic code getting stuff from DB, and it's like, you know, select star from table name where whatever. You understand what I mean, right? And then somewhere down here there would be a chart. I'm just gonna cheat by writing, I don't know, chart. And basically, this code would generate this chart. We're not talking about a screenshot or an image. We're talking about an actual chart with data behind it, retrieved from this table or from this query. And I would love for this to be, you can make it as long as possible, you can make it as complicated as you want. That is my dream. And someone would be able to just, if I send this link to that person and they open it, and they see the data. They don't need to have access to the data. They don't need to understand SQL. They can just open this thing and they can read what they need to read from it, depending on who I wrote it for and how I wrote it. That is what I think of when I think of like the BI notebook of 2049. Now, IndieMonkey tells me you can do this with Jupyter Lab. That's great. If I can do that, that's awesome. We'll get to the sharing component. So I think that is like, if we're talking about features, I'll just write these up here so that we don't lose track of them. Basically, what I want to have is code layer that can be executed on the web. So it's something that connects to a database, or at least a layer in between the database and that. I want semantic explanations, markdown formatting, as long as I want. So no restrictions, basically. And then I want visualizations with live updates from the code, not static images. And I want sharing permissions like Google Docs Drive. I want it to be just like Google Drive, basically. I can authorize it to view only. Anyone I send the link can view it. I can do stuff with my organization if I need like an enterprise solution, but basically That is how I imagine. Those 4 features. That is what's important to me. So, that being said, we have to install Jupyter Lab. Here's where things get tricky. Here's where things get tricky, ladies and gentlemen, and other souls. I have to install Python apparently, which I don't have. I mean, yet. Of course we can install Python. It's my computer, I can do whatever I want. But apparently I need to install Python, because if I run pip, there's nothing here. So yeah, so I was doing a bit of Googling, and actually DataCamp has a tutorial, and I showed it already, but maybe we can still run the quiz. Who knows what Jupyter actually stands for? I was actually very surprised to learn what it stands for. I never would have thought it stood for that. Julia, Python, R. Indie Monkey, you are correct, and you definitely know more than you let on, because I did not know that. Julia Jupyter is an acronym, and it stands for Julia, Python, and R. Julia is a very, very old language, actually. Although I believe Python and R are also quite old as well. So, look at this. How to install Jupyter Notebook on Mac using Homebrew. And that is exactly what I want, because I have Homebrew. Homebrew is a, how should I explain this? Brew is a kind of, what would we call this? For non-developing familiar people, Python is the oldest. Yeah, I think Python is the oldest. R might be older than Python, but we'd have to, let's Google it to find out. What is older, Python or R? Python is older than R. It has greater community support as compared to R. Really? I guess it depends on when you count from. But yeah, not so important. So Brew is kind of like a framework for managing packages on your computer. Oh yeah, Indie Monkey is a very good explanation. Brew is like a package manager for macOS what apt is for Ubuntu. Yeah, so if you're familiar with Linux or Ubuntu, apt-get or things like that, it's kind of like a little package manager. So if you're curious about Brew, definitely take a look. It's a very, very interesting solution. Very, very helpful if you're running on Mac for installing various things, because you can install them as a package, and if you don't like them, you can remove them, and it removes all the dependencies and things like that. It's very, very useful. So we have to install, run, and use a Jupyter Notebook on Mac. So I quite like this article, because it starts at step 0. Those are command line versions of GUI Packages Manager. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Indie Monkey. So we have Xcode already, because we already have Brew. We've installed Homebrew. So now we need to install Python. So first we check Brew update. It should be up to date, as far as I understand. I think. There was also some issue with some little packages or something when I ran the doctor last time. Error. The Brew update first run something else. Let's see what happened here. A newer command line tools release is available. Unknown support status. Homebrew's SBIM was not found in your path. Strange. I think these are just warnings. Your CLT does not support macOS 11. Please update your CLT or delete it. Update them from software update in... Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know if I want to do that on stream. That's risky. We'll just continue to install Python. How about that? So we install pyenv, and the reason is because Python. macOS comes with Python 2.7 pre-installed, but most things now are using Python 3x, 3 point something. So we should start with Python 3. There was also quite a large jump from version 2 to version 3. So we install pyenv, which is a version manager. Oh, okay, so I can't even do this, can I? Oh yeah, it does. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Shallow clones, blah, blah, blah. Fine. So it's pouring the thing now. For those who don't know, pyenv is the way to go to manage Python installation versions. The goal is not to mess with the default system Python version that is shipped with some OS. Very good explanation, Indie Monkey. Thank you very much. Where are you from, by the way? Where are you tuning in from today? I believe it's your first time here. Is that right? I think I would have remembered your username. I feel like I would have remembered. Okay, so we have installed the package manager, the version manager for Python. So now we have to do pyenv install we could even check what versions there are at the moment. Oh, what? What's it doing here? Oh, we don't even have... Oh, right. We don't have it installed yet. That's why it's not doing anything. Second time. The first time was after a raid by CM Griffin. Okay, okay. Wonderful. First time was less than a minute. Yeah, it's nice that you've stayed. Jordan, nice to see you. Welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. So pyenv install... Jordan, you will probably know quite a lot about what we're doing. Of course, we have to specify a version. You can see a list version from the Python website. Current Python version. I don't know what the 3.9 was. October. Newest major release. Yeah, sounds good. We'll take 3.9.0. Sounds good to me. Well, Indie Monkey, I'm glad that you decided to come back for a second time. It's always nice to see people who come from a raid come back again. No target specified, no makefile. Oh. What's happening here? Build failed. Okay. This may have to do with Rue not being up to date. So we probably have to do the unshallow. 3.9.5 is the latest version. Okay. I mean, we can install Jupyter without installing Python because we're probably just going to use R, but let's at least try to get Python installed. I feel it would be, I mean, Python's already installed, but the system version. So actually, I don't know what Python system version, Mac OS 11. Will macOS Big Sur remove the default Python installation for good? On Apple Macs being shipped with Big Sur, Python 2 and Python 3. Oh, interesting. Okay. So 3.8.2. It's actually pretty up to date. It's not bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is doing something in the background. I can see the transmit rates. Oh, that's weird. That button's not working right now. Why is that? Okay, yeah, so it's I'm not even sure. So unshallow, what this is doing is this restriction has been made on GitHub's request because updating shallow clones is extremely expensive operation due to the tree layout and traffic of Homebrew. Ah, I see. Okay. So it's progressing. So we have a few things to do. How has everyone's week been? How has your Friday been? Did you have any great successes this week? Would love to know. I don't know any R in DMonkey. Does R come with a database library in its standard library? So from what I understand about R, and Jordan, feel free to correct me, R comes with some default packages that allow you to access databases, but otherwise you just install additional packages, much like you do with Brew. You install additional packages like, yeah, just to allow you to get that functionality. It's very different to Postgres. It's very, very different from SQL in that sense. SQL is basically, there are some plugins like, you know, like the GIS one, but basically the base R package is not so full-fledged. I mean, it has everything you need for analysis. So R has its own package manager, like Python has pip. R has data frames as a standard way of, exactly. So, but if you want to access like Postgres DB, or if you want to access MySQL DB, you have to install the, you know, ODBC thing or something. It depends on how you're connecting to the database, of course, from R directly, or where you're even running R, right? Because you could be running R, I don't know, could run it in a lot of different places. I know data frames from pandas, Python. Yeah, I think it's quite similar, right? I think it's quite the same. Do you know Python, Jordan? You probably know everything. I mean, Jordan is basically a data god. I'm here just trying to resolve deltas in Homebrew, right? That's my thing. I know some Python, don't make me blush. Speaking of blushing, my cheeks are super red today, and I can't figure out why. I think it's maybe like shampoo I used or something. I don't know. Strange. So once we resolve the Homebrew situation, we can continue installing Jupyter. So it includes other languages as well. I think Jupyter even includes SQL. That would of course be Jupyter Notebook SQL, because look, it's finished. Okay, so we do brew update. Now we can hopefully get a compatible version. That could take a minute. Here's how to run SQL in Jupyter Notebooks. Oh. So we could use, okay, so we have everything installed, let's say. So Indie Monkey asked Jordan, do you use ETLs or made everything with R? So ETL referring to extraction, transform, load. Basically taking the data from somewhere, churning it, changing it, whatever you want, and then loading it into somewhere else. Typically there's like pipelining software for that now. There are reasons to do it directly in code, but typically there's pipeline like software to orchestrate it, because there's also like you have to handle scheduling, you have to handle differences in when the thing last ran, because obviously this is batch processing, not streaming, right? But you could technically set up streaming. And Jordan's explanation is, I used to build ETLs in R, but nowadays I try to do as much ELT in SQL. I think you wrote that deliberately, right, Jordan? ELT and not ETL. Meaning extraction, load, transform. So you're basically just taking everything and then modeling it later, which allows you to do a lot more flexible modeling. To build model tables in the data warehouse, and then any analysis I like to do in R. Either using DBI to pull data from SQL warehouse into my R environment, or using deployer in R to run R commands and have it execute directly against the data. Yeah, ELT over ETL. I agree with that largely, because I think the days of like paying for specific storage amount, when you're talking about, you know, the data that we have today, most situations, it doesn't make a difference anymore. Certainly not to that extent where you're paying more for the people's time to work with the data, so you might as well give them everything in the beginning. There's different, of course, there's different kind of schools of thought about like how much data you want to collect in the first place, but that's a different discussion. Interesting explanation, Jordan. Thanks for your insights. Yeah, so brew update's still running. Once that's done, oh, professional grade beginner with the raid. Welcome, raiders, and welcome, my friend. Nice to see you. I did not think that we would hear from each other before your birthday party tomorrow, but here you are. Quite the surprise, I must say. Thank you very much for the raid. It's very appreciated. How was your stream? Did you finish that brutal workout? That was quite something. Professional grade beginner, by the way. You definitely should go check out his channel, because he does something quite interesting. So he does not only development streams, but they're timed. So I think you're doing 30-minute blocks and then 5-minute breaks, and he tracks his 30 minutes, like he tracks it with a keyboard tracker in terms of mistakes and typing speed and all that kind of stuff. And I think you even wrote that application yourself. And then he also has as channel rewards, he's got all these workouts like burpees and one-handed push-ups and stuff, because I mean, he's really stacked. So we coded a little bit, then we looked up salaries of developers. All right, because of your job offer, right? That makes sense. Yes, I asked this because I tend to get data from a lot of different file types and loading them into Postgres, and I'm interested in R for this data extract load features. Ah, that's very interesting. So Indie Monkey, I was a few streams back. You can check the VOD or on YouTube. I did a few comparisons of some different ETL stuff. There are some pretty cool ETL or ELT solutions that allow you to pull data from X number of places. Also like some SaaS ones, right? That you can just go use over the web. You don't even need to install anything necessarily. But you could definitely look at something like Airflow, Apache, which you can run. You can orchestrate that yourself, but you can also run it in Google Cloud. You can run it in Amazon. There's like, yeah, it's really interesting software. Of course, there's plenty of like non-open source ones. There's like the whole list. What is it, like Xplenty, Fivetran, Stitch? There's a whole load of them. Of like these. We can look on G2 because there's probably a whole category for ETL, right? Where's the category here? ETL tools. So you've got like a whole, there's everything, right? There's so many, depending on what kind of data sources you have and stuff. Others make more sense than others. The pricing structures are all different and stuff, so Homebrew update is taking forever. Oh yeah, so professional grade beginner, you wrote the keyboard tracking application. Stacked, yeah, you're like dev stacked, but also physically stacked, quite stacked. The music sounds like you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and you have to answer in time. Yeah, that last track was a bit strange. I like this one a bit more. Jordan says R is pretty good for doing stuff like that. The problem is running R in production, like in the cloud or on a server. It's really problematic. You can run R in Docker using something like Cloud Run on GCP or on ECS Fargate, that's AWS, but it's still a bit of a pain. If you're doing everything locally, R is a nice solution. Some interesting things there about running R in production. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. All right, so Brew is now updated. I had 80 outdated. Okay, should we upgrade them all? No, we're not going to do that now. I can't be bothered. So that's the SQL, which if we can run SQL in Jupyter, then yes, of course, that's what we want to do, right? All right, so we want to do PyEnv versions system, okay. PyEnv install 3.9.5, I think it was, you said. Definition not found. PyEnv install list. Oh, right. Whew. Okay. 3.9.0 major release. So 3.9.0 it is. Hopefully it will install this time. Jordan Peck, I might not use R in production, but definitely on my computer. Thanks for the answers. Yeah, it's great that you're offering up all of your knowledge, Jordan. Build failed. Wonder why that is. Let's try a different version. So does it download? It downloads and then it fails on the build. Checking whether C compiler works. C compiler cannot create executables. I have never heard of this error. Don't really want to be debugging this on stream with y'all. It's kind of boring, but I mean, this is essentially the someone must have had this. I removed the command line tools and started as root. Your CLT does not support Mac. Oh, I see. I'm worried about this, but we will try. Because I'm guessing it's because Mac likes to force restarts. Yeah, I see. Mac likes to force restarts, and I don't really want to do that. To be sure to have the latest version when using PyEnv install list is to use PyEnv update before. Great, so it will download tons of software now from Big Sur. And Mac likes to like force update stuff, which I'm really concerned about. So what we're going to do is we are going to actually just terminate this, because I don't want it to restart my computer, honestly. I don't have the energy for that. So we are going to do the bad thing and just terminate terminal. So pyenv install. So we run pyenv update first. Interesting. Well, you know what? We can skip this part. It's not a big deal if we're not going to be using Python. It's not going to matter. So we need to install Jupyter. Jupyter. This should work without issue. That's what I'm saying, like a web solution here, right? We had this thing before. What was our what was it called? BI Notebook 2049. This was my thing, right? Like maybe we should add it here, like easy install one-liner or web-based. And I think this is kind of a big deal because this is already too complicated for someone who isn't technical. Like there may be, you can have a lot of good data analysts who just aren't technical people, right? They can work with data, but they're not maybe in a position to install Brew and install Jupyter like with Brew and all this kind of stuff. Maybe seems straightforward, but yeah. Indie Monkey, don't worry about it. I'm sorry, the pyenv update command works on my computer with Linux. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I had a... So last week, or 2 weeks ago, I started to get internet issues. And last stream, on Monday, there was actually a cut in my internet connection, and I was worried that it was my modem. Because actually I replaced the modem, and they did a firmware update, and that should have solved the problem. But then after the cut on Monday, I was extremely concerned. I was like, oh no, so, you know, is my internet connection actually that bad? Hey, Brandon Blue. Thank you very much for the follow. Do say welcome. Oh no. Oh, it was just a matter of time before the party has arrived. You got the right address this time, Panther. So there's the joke is that White Panther wanted to raid me last week. Thank you, Ian, for farting. I have to rap because you're Rap Panther. Oh, that's right, you were rapping on stream doing music. By the way, huge shout out to Salma. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, raiders. We had a Rap Panther. I'm just installing Python, trying to do it via Homebrew, but it somehow broke my update. I don't understand. I can't rap. What gives you the impression that I'm musical? There's like literally no indications whatsoever that I am musical. How was your stream, Panther? I know you were doing music today for a change. It was lovely. Wow. Sponge, how were you not following yet? Shame on you. 10-year anniversary, right? Is that right, Panther? 10 years with Mystery Husband? Moose sequel? Rap Panther. We had a rapping Panther, so people demand the same from you. Oh, Luce, thank you. Thank you very much for gifting a sub. You are pairing forward the gift that you got from Dr. Dynamite. Svene, look at that, the lurker. Now we know who is here. I was following the other you. I actually wrote the other Maddie Two Shoes to see if I could somehow get their username, because honestly, it would just reduce the number of times that raids happen to the other Maddie Two Shoes, right? I mean, they've probably been rated hundreds of times by now. UK Mads.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, what is happening here? There's a lot going on. Okay, let's break this down. What is nonsense, Panther? I heard that your stream was amazing. I was watching your stream up until very shortly before going live. Thank you for the gift, Steve. That's very kind of you. You have gifted a sub to Indie Monk. Indie Monk, you are now part of the data family, so welcome. I hope you enjoy your bar chart. Yes, Panther, I'm sure it's been quite a day. Double stream. Panther actually streamed twice today, which is impressive. And thank you as well, SFMO, for the follow. I think you also came over from the raid. It's nice to see you. Double bubble, double trouble indeed. We are currently updating Brew, we already updated Brew. We are currently installing a Jupyter notebook. Well, actually, we're installing Jupyter Lab, which will allow us to run a Jupyter notebook. The question is, when I run Jupyter notebook, does it just like open it in the terminal? What happens? I'm very concerned. Why, Panther, thanks for the stream. Feel like babysitting? So Svenne is here. They have a voice. That's wonderful. The lurkers come out when you gift them subs. Isn't that nice? I just installed PyCharm and used the version of Python it comes with. Most probably. But we've skipped the Python part. We just said, I don't care anymore about the Python part. It's just installing Jupyter Notebook now. I don't care about Python. I'm not going to be writing Python anyway. And when I want to install Python, then I will probably just nuke the whole laptop and start over. It's probably easier at this point than trying to figure out why my CLT is not working for some reason. Has anyone noticed that I'm standing? I don't need a standing ovation, I'm just standing. I think my favorite joke when I got my standing desk, I used to crack this one all the time. I noticed you're outstanding. I couldn't tell, same height. You mean the framing? Yeah, that makes sense. Just the posters are kind of me in relation to the printer and stuff. But yeah, the joke I would crack all the time was, hey, I would say to my girlfriend, hey, you see that farmer out there? He's outstanding in his field. Sorry, it's just I used to use it so often, and I would get her at like so many points in time, completely unexpectedly. I'm out. Sorry, Jordan. Monkey says, monkey say, monkey do. Jordan, last question. I think Jordan meant because of my jokes he wants to leave. When you use it from Python, you'll have to run Jupyter Lab. It'll run a server from CLI and will give you a link to the server. If you close the CLI, the server will be shut down. Not the best way. Ooh, okay. Oh. Okay. Okay, beginner. You are permitted to leave. Have a great birthday party tomorrow. I hope you have fun. I hope you all stay safe and hopefully see you next time. What would you recommend me for open source ETL or ELT? Mostly for database and JIS data. I should stop saying JIS, right? I mean, Airflow is open source, so I think it's a solid solution. There's an OS service called Airbyte, which is an OS version of tools like Fivetran. Oh, also Singer, right? So you've got Singer.io. I'm currently reading the comparative page that Matt gave me. Yeah, so Singer is an open standard for ETL, which is very nice because you can actually run that in a lot of different environments. And there's these, yeah, taps and targets. Basically, taps is where the data comes from, and targets is where it goes to. Yes, Meltano, that's right. I've even done a stream about that. Can you believe that, Jordan? I've forgotten. But it's somewhere in YouTube, in the channel. I actually did a stream about Meltano. I didn't get very far. But for people who are developers or know how to develop things, they will get much further than I did. Ooh, this looks like it could be close to actually finishing whatever it's trying to do. I think it is like updating dependencies and stuff so that I can actually run my Jupyter notebook, which is fun. Hello, Mr. Hazy. Sorry, I missed your greeting there in chat. We were engrossed in this discussion.
Wow.
Oh, hey Dex, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, Mr. Hazy, I think it's also your first time here. Meow can't stay. I hope you're doing well and have an epic stream. Why can't you stay, Meow? Honestly, tell me why you can't stay. Now you need to come with a really good reason. I mean, really, has to be a good reason. I want to hear it. Jordan says the only problem with Meltano Singer is that it doesn't offer much orchestration. Is Australia a good reason? Steffi? Steffi. That's how Swiss people would pronounce your name. Steffi? Airbyte is easier to host, but doesn't support as many data sources as paid tools like Stitch and Fivetran. Jordan would be a pretty good authority on this topic, I would say. But I don't want to be biased. Yes, this is my first time here, and if you don't mind, it's Halzy. Oh, sorry. That space in between was... Yeah, I thought there was a space in between. So excuse me. Dex is lurking. Nginx and Docker and Django is being a knob, and I've got a weird problem to sort out. Yeah, go ahead. I woke up at 3 and again at 5 to watch one of my favorite streamers and have to run 5 kilometers in 2 hours and Australia. So there's one of those reasons that is very good. Namely, the one that you had to watch one of your favorite streamers. I know I'm not meant. I know you meant Thalma, which is fine. You're excused. You have to run 5 kilometers in 2 hours. Wait, in 2 hours you have to start running 5 kilometers? Or do you have now 2 hours to run 5 kilometers? Because I'm not sure if that's a good time or not. I don't run. Only away from my problems. Which currently is... this turned into a brew stream. I should rename the stream to Watching Brew. Should move to Just Chatting. Honestly, I had no idea this would... So this is the debate about preparing for a stream, right? As I was saying in the beginning, I like prepping for a stream because then I can ensure that everything's working and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But this process of installing a Jupyter notebook, if you want to use a BI notebook, then this is what you would have to go through. Realistically, you might not keep Homebrew completely up to date all the time. I don't. So Steve says 5 kilometers in 2 hours isn't a great time. 10 kilometers in 1 hour is an acceptable time for me. 5 kilometers in 2 hours is very slow if I'm on my motorbike. So I would say 5 kilometers in like 2 minutes is acceptable. Speed is of the essence. It's ironic that I talk about speed while we watch Brew update dependencies. Oh dear. So someone should tell a joke, a Friday joke, but actually I did want to run a poll, and now that y'all are here, I can run the poll, so that's cool. That's for me at least. Steve, okay. So we are going to run a poll. Where is the poll? Manage poll. Here we go. New poll. It's a very simple question. I will allow... No, I will not. So, new poll. Would you watch a cooking stream? I am quite a obsessive, let's say, home cook. I like to spend quite a lot of time in the kitchen. Steve versus dependency updates. Sociable Steve walks into a bar, ouch. Yeah, I do like cooking a lot, and I was thinking that there are ways that I could actually live stream from the kitchen. It's a bit tricky. I've been looking into it, but if there was enough interest, so I'll leave the poll up there for 3 minutes. If there's enough interest, then I would be keen to do probably like a weekend one. I don't think it would be a Monday or a Friday 9 p.m. stream. The poll has ended, the tribe has spoken, yes. There are only 4 votes, which, as you know, is statistically completely irrelevant. I need to hear from like 10 people, really. I need to hear from 10 people to know if there's any kind of significance to this poll whatsoever. This is driving me nuts, but I can't stop the update. Like, it just has to do what it needs to do. And then we will start Jupyter. What happens when you run Jupyter Notebook in terminal? Jupyter Notebook terminal macOS. What happens then? Okay, I click the first result in Google because I am, you know. So it launches a Jupyter Notebook app. Jupyter Notebook. This will launch a new browser window. Or a new tab showing the notebook dashboard, a sort of control panel. Okay. It would make sense to look at this already. The notebook dashboard is a component which is shown first when you launch Jupyter Notebook app. The notebook dashboard is basically notebook documents and to manage the running kernels, visualize and shut down. So it's like a file manager. So it is kind of like a Google Drive thing. Benson www. You're on the internet. Welcome to the stream. That is what we are doing today. Can you use machine learning and IoT to do some automatic cooking on stream? I'm sure it's technically possible, but I cannot do those things. The extent that I could use IoT would be, I have a little like servo motor thing, so I could like move my spatula to the side with like a command or something. Jordan says, student A, I used to think correlation implied causation. Then I took a stat class. Now I'm not sure. Student B, sounds like the class helped. Student A, well, I can't be certain. Okay, Jordan, you need to have a timeout. That was because of my joke about the farmer, wasn't it? I deserved that. Okay, so the poll had 7 answers. It's 71% yes. Okay. That's already, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a clear win. 71% is like, there's interest. So it won't replace one of the Monday, Friday streams, but it will probably be an additional one, most probably a weekend stream, because I would need a crap load of time to set up. I considered, like, I've basically looked into putting a GoPro on my chest so that you can actually see as I'm chopping and stirring and stuff. But it's a bit complicated because I'd have to, like, it's an older GoPro, so it doesn't stream over Wi-Fi or anything, from what I understand. It's complicated. It's a majority, not an overwhelming majority, just. Yeah, exactly, Steve. Meow says, I've been trying to brush up on trigonometry. It's been hard because I keep going on tangents. Okay, Meow, you need to leave. You need to leave because you have to go run away from these types of jokes. Away, like far away. Thank you to everyone who is submitting terrible jokes in chat, keeping us entertained while we wait for Brew to update dependencies. I honestly don't know how long this is going to go for. We're going to take a short intermission so I can lower my desk. And because yeah, I need to come down a bit, or calm down a bit. No, I need to refill my water and stuff. So we'll just take a short break and we will be right back, hopefully. I mean, we'll be right back and hopefully Brew will be finished, so. Hello. So we're back. I'm lowered. I've been lowered. Unfortunately, Brew is still going. I can see that a few viewers have dropped off, and that's totally understandable. I apologize profusely, actually, for this terrible situation. And for that, I have prepared an apology.
Fine. I'll say I'm sorry.
No, be sincere. Like this. I'm sorry.
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 Good, that's the one.
I'm very sorry for this because I did not expect this to take so long, but it kind of proves my point as well. Hello, that noob. Nice of you to join. Noob is very special because Noob is a VTuber. If you don't know what a VTuber is, then you have a virtual avatar on screen instead of you. I was here since the raid. Oh no, I'm sorry. I did not... You know what it is? Your username is the same color as me. That's what it is. Is Brew still going? What is this? An update for cave people? This is an update for people who have never updated Brew. So one thing that I've noticed is that it's not alphabetical. The thing is that Jupyter obviously has a lot of dependencies. And what it's doing is it's updating all the dependencies that Jupyter needs to run, which is a lot. And I have great interwebs. Oh yeah, so I was explaining before. I was running a ping. I was running a ping for the last few days, non-stop, to see if there are any packages being dropped. And it was like 0.1% package loss. So obviously the connection seems to be stable again. So I'm not concerned anymore about my internet's just suddenly dying. So I'm hoping that this finishes soon. In the meantime, what I can show you is the alternative to using something like Jupyter is something like this. So this company called Count. I've spoken with one of the co-founders, very nice guy. And as you can see, what you do is you sign up online and you're in, right? You connect it to whatever things you need to connect it to. Now, this is very interesting. These were the five that we said we wanted to have. Easy install or web-based. So obviously Jupyter is not doing well. I think this is like, wait a minute, where's my shout out? That's right, Steve. I like to space them out, but it's fine. I have no problem. You can even have two. I don't mind. Steve, also show some love for Steve, because one stream a month doesn't mean shoutouts are needed. Okay, but you streamed every single day in March for charity. That is quite an achievement. That deserves 2 shoutouts. You're right. I just like to space them out during the stream to not overwhelm people to just click off stream into like other places all the time. Because they should be staying here. We want people to stay here. So I feel like, okay, this is maybe not the most realistic situation, but if someone was using Brew like they do like I do, which is not very often, I don't need to install things very often. This is what would happen when you went to install Jupyter. Admittedly, it would only happen the first time, but okay. Code layer that can be executed on the web. It has to be able to be executed. Semantic explanations, so markdown formatting, no restrictions as much as possible. Visualizations that live update from the code, and sharing permissions like Google Drive. Let's say as easy as. Doesn't have to be like that, but it has to be easy. Okay. So how good is something like Count in that respect? It is that easy. I mean, this is like a demo, right? But you basically have a table or multiple tables in a DB. I can't just hide this. And basically you have exactly this, right? You have a notebook where you have visualizations. Look at this, okay? Select some streams from daily streams, day count, blah, 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 blah. Group by day artist. If I order this differently, order by artist, for example, it updates this. I think it did. I'm not sure. I think it's ordered by year at the moment. But somehow I've still made some Twitch money without streaming more than 2 times in the past month. I like it. Steve, really? I haven't hit payout. Not since I started streaming. I haven't hit payout yet. I don't really care, but I haven't hit payout. So what I'm saying is that you can modify the code here and it... Oh yeah, I forgot to put in something. I need to have versioning of my code. That's something that I use, at the moment I use GitHub for that. I store my queries, and when I change them, I update in GitHub. But it has to be collaborative as well, so other people also need to understand Git, which admittedly is not that straightforward for someone not coming from a technical background. And you see, okay, so here we have the visualizations. So that definitely ticks our box, right? Visualizations with live updates from the code. How easy is it to share this? Steffi, I mean, I can cancel my sub, just say a word. Yeah. Not enough for payout, I'm not a white panther, just more than 0. Yeah. But it would be nice to have payout. So you see here, this is like all this stuff. And now how does this work? When you have a notebook, how can I go back to my notebooks? So my demo connection with my demo project, I think I made, oh yeah, so I made this playing around thing, right? When I publish this, it's now published. And I can share this with anyone. Check this out. Incognito, okay? I'm not signed in. All I need to do is create an account and I can see the notebook. Not the movie. Not the movie. And that's pretty cool. It's really, really cool. And if I want to modify this, the entire notebook is versioned, not just the code, the entire notebook. So I would have to create a fork, which is basically branching, if you will, from a master. I fork it. I think I did that already. Oh no, I published this one. So we fork it. And then, you know, you do like this, and then you can merge this one back into, and you can say this is like version 1.1. I added this description. This is so crazy powerful. Like really, this is so powerful. I really, really like that. And there's even a viewer mode, which I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it's just what you don't see the tables and stuff in view mode. It took me about 6 months to get my first payout, says Sociable. Then it was so sporadic and still is. Yeah, I mean, obviously people like myself are not streaming on Twitch for money. That's for sure. If I do get a payout, it's anyway going to charity. Like I don't need the money. I'm here to try and learn from others, like I'm learning now from the community, from all of you giving suggestions and telling me, oh, by the way, you should have updated brew before stream and stuff like that. It's a learning. We make mistakes and we don't do it again. We try and get better. But yeah, I don't need that money. Like I have a full-time job. I'm very well paid. I'm very happy with my quality of life. So I'm happy to try and help others with that money. So all of you who are donating and tipping bits and playing fart sounds and subbing, all of your money is going towards charity. I've actually been donating to that charity since 5 or 6 years now anyway. So it's just a running thing. It just keeps running. And if someday I would start to earn more money from Twitch, then I would donate even more than I donate now. But fart sounds. Yeah, Ian was here. Definitely. Pretty sure Ian's still here. Ian, you around? Maybe he left already. I see him in chat, so he might just be lurking. You cannot hide. Twitch has all the tools for us to know if you are here. So, okay. So this is what I'm saying, is that these are like the two contrasts, right? We've got all of these features that I would like to have. And so far, Jupyter is not doing well on this. Oh, Jesus Christ. That actually scared the bejesus out of me. fart in my ears. Oh, I should probably reduce the volume on that one. It's one way to wake me up, that's for sure. Oh! Look at that. In time with the music. That is crazy. I can't believe that this is actually finished. So, Jupyter hasn't been faring well. It has not been an easy install, but I am confident that we can still hit many of these points and see why Jupyter is the OG and so many people still use it. Let's continue. We have to start Jupyter Notebook. Okay. So it should open a tab. Writing Notebook Server Cookie Secret. Here we go. Welcome to Jupyter. Not the planet, the notebook. So, okay, so let's put something on the desktop. No, that's a shitty place for it. Let's not do that. So it has like a file structure. This is what I wanted to know. All right, so we have to connect to Docker. Or rather, we have to connect to our database. Where is Docker? Here we go. So Docker is running. I think for Jupyter Lab, the command is Jupyter Lab. Is it more modern? I mean, this is fine. Because it's like, these are the notebooks. And I'll just open one. Like, if I have a notebook, then I can just open one of them, right? So if I have here, like, new... It's better, okay. So let's terminate this. Jupyter Lab. No, it's probably 2. Okay. Hell yeah, more modern. You don't say. That's a big difference. Okay. So that's a big difference, yeah. Okay, so we can actually say what we want. If we want to... Okay, what if we want to have a SQL notebook? Can we do that? I assume we can do that. Here's how to run Jupyter. Okay, so we'll need to connect to our database, which I really hope I remember. I hope I remember the credentials. That could be bad. But basically we have our database running in Docker. Oh yeah, that's right. We can actually use Docker to figure out. That's fine. Yeah, we can do that if we need to. Okay, so we have our Jupyter notebook. That's lovely. Jupyter Lab, rather. So my new notebook. So I went here, new notebook. No kernel. Oh. You need some Python libraries to connect to a DB. Do I? Can't I just connect using like ODBC or something? Jupyter is Python. No, I refuse to believe. I agree. In the example, they show SQL Alchemy, which is a famous database library for Python. Oh, okay. Well, let's see what they say. Because I don't know R or Python sufficiently to be able to actually use it here, to be able to say, like, this is, you know, to really test it. So can we rename this? Rename notebook. SQL test. All right. This is me writing in SQL. So I will have to obviously add, I don't know, I will figure this out in a moment, but there's all kinds of cool stuff here. And probably there's, oh, here we go. Text editor theme. Solarized dark. Why is this not changing? That's better. Sorry, it was just blinding my eyes, so. There are some magic commands that allow you to write verbatim SQL, but not as easily as Python directly. Okay. Well. Okay, so let's begin. Oh, okay, that was import SQL alchemy. So what happens now? Can I just run this part? Oh, it doesn't have a kernel. That's probably... It doesn't have a... Oh, I see. So you can actually select... So this is in Markdown, for example. Or this is raw. And... I should be able to set that... Run selected cells. No. Shift enter. I can see what it's doing, which is kind of cool. I like that. No kernel. All right, we need a kernel. Okay, fine. It's Python 3. Okay, so it started a kernel, which is like a operator. Traceback in module. No module named. Okay. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, this is a screenshot. Shame on you. Where is this thing? Here? SQL alchemy. No module. Maybe you don't have SQL alchemy installed. Oh, right. Probably. Pip install SQL alchemy. Oh, we have to do it here, right? We have to do it in the Python environment. But where is the Python environment? Okay, let's shut this down for a sec. True. Yeah, but I don't have Python installed, remember? Py environment. List. Was it list? No. Versions? I have to activate a Python environment first. Yeah, we had this problem before though, that the CLT was out of date. So if I do just vanilla would be fine. 394 pyenv install 390. Because the build failed before, but maybe that the dependencies have been updated now, maybe it's fine. No, it failed the build again. Yeah, I don't think it will be able to do that. So this might not work with the Jupyter Notebook. Well, okay, so SQL, I don't really care so much right now about that. It was just an idea. Basically, if I start up Jupyter Lab again, we saved our stuff, so it should have saved it, right? Because it should be that easy. Yeah, SQL test, right here. Whatever, Python. Okay, so this is pretty interesting because obviously to run certain things here, I would need to be able to install the packages. But yeah, what are out-of-the-box Python visualization stuff we could do with data? Like, first of all, we'd have to connect it to something. And is the only way to do that with Python modules, Python packages? Or does Python have natively something that we could do Jupyter Lab Postgres. Analytics Vidya. I do read his stuff quite a lot. Or their stuff, rather. Okay. So I have to install... you see. So I have to install some libraries. Oh, that's a hurdle. This is not as easy as I would have liked it to be. Okay, I need to read one thing about this. Results logged C compiler. C compiler cannot create executables. I actually think there's an easy solution for this, which is macOS terminal update Xcode. Xcode, select, install. Use software update to install updates. Software update. Software update list. So, okay, this doesn't make a lot of sense because the error that I'm getting here is that the C compiler cannot create executables, which was this. I removed command line tools as root and reinstalled. Oh wow, okay. Sudo rmrf, yeah. Find code on Stack Overflow that has sudo rmrf at the beginning. Be very cautious about what you're doing. But yes, we will do that. And we'll just reinstall them, and maybe that will do it. Thank you, Jordan. I also agree that nuking it is the best option at this point. Yep. I agree. YOLO! YOLO indeed. Salma's music stream was really cool. I really enjoyed that. YOLO loops. At least here there's a timer, so we have an expectation of how long this is going to take. See you in 2 days after your reinstall. No, I'm not installing Big Sur update, Sociable Steve. I'm only touching Xcode. And for any of you watching, I am highly, highly on edge. Like, I hope that this doesn't restart suddenly or do something to break stream, because I don't want that to happen. So I'm just hoping that that's not the case. And Twitch is telling me that my connection is unstable again, which is bollocks. It's just because I'm downloading stuff, probably. If anyone's noticing connectivity issues, you let me know. That would be very good to know. Looks like having a Python environment will simplify a lot of stuff. Here are some interesting links for SQL in Jupyter Lab. Oh, thank you. Very cool. Guessing Twitch is twitchy or my end. Okay, good to know. I haven't image on my side. You mean you're not seeing image? Command line tools usually don't need a restart. Yeah, I'm hoping not. Just concerned about my connection. Twitch is telling me unstable, but I don't know how much there is to believe for that. There was one tiny drop I can see few minutes ago, but now it seems to be okay. Jay Walter, time to go. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for having... Thank you for being here. I was gonna say something about having you. Thank you for having you here. Sounds a bit weird. Thanks for being here. Appreciate. Black screen. Oh, if that happens with Twitch, just hard refresh. You won't miss a lot, trust me. We're still waiting a minute 20 for software update. This is nice. Thank you for that. Oh, 9 minutes, come on. But we'll continue in the meantime. So essentially, and close this stuff out. Essentially, web tools, I think. I'm not saying that there's no place for open source software or stuff running locally. What I think is really problematic is this level of effort required to do something as simple as create a chart in SQL in like with code and explanations, with the things that I wanted to do, like with all of these things. And that's why these web-based stuff is coming along, right? Indie Monkey had to refresh the page to get back the videos. Yeah, it's Twitch being twitchy probably. I mean, it's probably quite busy at this time, I would say. There was also some DNS stuff I was reading this week. Some major DNS stuff. When Xcode says X minutes, double the amount. Oh, that's really... Ugh. Okay, so that's not going to finish today, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. And yeah, today was probably going to not be a super long one, because I basically just wanted to introduce the topic of Jupyter Notebooks. I didn't really see... So let that update. We can just run Jupyter Lab again in the meantime. I just wanted to kind of introduce this topic because I do think that it's interesting. Yeah. Cancel. I do think that there is a place for this. So when I have some markdown, for example, and you can have like headers and everything with markdown. I think that's how it is, or bullet lists. This is the first point. This is the second point. So now Twitch has said my connection is excellent, so that's good. And I think, so if I have this notebook, can I export this? Ah, here we go. So I can export to PDF, for example, or web PDF. But if I do export as PDF, did that... Okay, it's loading. I don't know what it's doing. I shut the server down. Yeah, I restarted it though. Shouldn't it be working? Oh. I have to refresh again? Maybe it has to refresh, yeah. I must have missed out when you went offline. Oh, so I was offline for a bit. Yeah, maybe. It's a bit of a red bit there, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't save that. That's fine, whatever. How do I get rid of these blocks? There we go, delete cells. So let's just do a little test here. Just to get familiar. So this is Markdown. This is a list. This is also an item in the list. And this I can change to Markdown. Then I can make a new cell. And this one I can say is raw, for example. This is unformatted. Cool, okay. And I assume, can I have SQL? No, SQL as a kernel wouldn't work, obviously. Let's save this. Okay, it's saved. I can see the entry. And now I'm gonna export this as a PDF. What does this look like? Ooh, okay. NB convert failed. Okay. I probably have to install this. Matt, something important to know. Okay, Indy, I'm listening. If your cell is in code format, if the cell doesn't produce output, you won't see any result. Last time I used Jupyter Lab, Jupyter will output only one output by cell. Print 1, print 2, print 3 will only print once, but I don't remember if it will print 1 or 3. This is why I prefer R Markdown notebooks. So, obviously, RStudio also has a notebook. Obviously, it's in R and not in Python. And there are other probably software like this as well. There's also some web-based ones, like Observable HQ, for example, which also is the same thing that we've been talking about. So we can go look at, I don't know, like this one. We can just go look at galleries of what people have done. So yeah, you can obviously do really cool stuff here. You can also have toggles. RStudio looks like Spider for Python. Spider? Never heard of that. But yeah, you can do very cool stuff, like you can obviously change number of days, for example. So this is going towards like BI, like Tableau kind of stuff, right? Or Redash or whatever, where you can have interactive elements within the charts. And this is what I'm talking about. This is absolutely beautiful. So you have like an index here on the right. I didn't even need any permissions. I could just open this. It's public, right? And this is why it's so cool for me to think about this concept, and it kind of changed the way that I think about how data is shared and what we're doing. Like what is the job of a data analyst? Oh. Give me one sec. I have something for this too.
I think I am getting a text message. Look. Ah, there it is.
Indeed, indeed. I was getting a message. Jordan says, all you need is RStudio IDE installed and you get all the benefits of Markdown in R, and you can use Python in RStudio with the reticulate package. Yeah. So R seems to be set up a little bit differently than this. I think data scientists I know use hosted Jupyter notebooks like this, or on cloud services like AWS or in Databricks. And that, Jordan, is the key. Who is this stuff really for? So Jupyter Notebook, the data scientists I work with, they use Jupyter Notebooks a lot. The reason they do is because those notebooks can be deployed on different types of environments, which is what you were talking about earlier about R being a little bit more difficult to handle in production. And that is kind of the point here, is that I don't want to have to worry about this. That's why I put this in here, as I just want code that can execute. I want to have versioning. I want it to be, I want to be able to write why I'm doing things in a certain way. I want to visualize things live. I don't want to just have static images. And I want it to be easy to share. I want it to be shareable in the way that someone doesn't have to install RStudio to view those things. And honestly, this kind of product that Observable has is exactly this, what I imagine to be a perfect solution. Obviously, you know, things like pricing, and there may be security constraints and all those kind of topics. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about from my perspective as a data analyst, or, you know, full stack analyst, blah, blah, blah. I actually detest this technical stuff, because I think it's just a hurdle. Of course it's fun and it's cool to like figure stuff out, but it is so tedious to get to the point where actually what I'm trying to do is this. This is what I'm trying to do, what you see here on screen. This is the kind of stuff that I enjoy the most, is analyzing problems using data, trying to figure out if we can see patterns or try and help answer those things. Jordan says it's a compromise you have to make. If you have a hosted solution like this, somewhat limits your flexibility because you can't always install what you want. If you go self-hosted, you get unlimited flexibility, but you have to manage more tech stuff. That's right. It's a very good summary. And I think that is a very good rounding off of today's stream. I will install Xcode on my own time. I think it will take a lot longer than just 1 minute 36 seconds. So I'm not going to end the stream right away. I want to give some other things to this argument as well. So what this comes down to is also a question about compatibility in tech and data literacy and what I call kind of data governance and data transparency. In an organization, in any company, whether it's a 2-person company or a 200,000 person company, there's something to be said for kind of democratizing access to data, right? Because theoretically, in a company, everyone should have access to be able to do something like this. The problem is, most people don't have the technical skills to do this, nor do they have the understanding of data to be able to figure out what the right approach is to a problem to end up with something like this. And so that's why there are people in this position of data analyst or business requirement engineers or business intelligence or whatever these roles are called, data scientists, right? That's why all of those roles exist, because they are translating kind of problems from the business into things that can be done from a data point of view, or how data can kind of shed light on those problems. And so often, and still, as we've seen today with my troubles, tech stands in the way. Tech is in the middle, standing in our way, instead of actually being helpful and actually opening up things so that people can do some things on their own. I'm not saying that to give everyone raw data access, right? But instead of being able for people to do things on their own, holy crap, it actually finished. That's impressive. Then it's actually inhibitive. And I feel like that is not the right solution. I feel like data needs to go in the opposite direction. It needs to go in exactly the direction that you have here, which is you have some kind of thing that was prepared by someone, and it needs to be open. It needs to be transparent. And if someone says, I don't think this analysis should be for the last 16 days, I think it should be for the last 6, they should be able to interact with it. If that's what you determine is important for it. If that's what you also determine with the business stakeholder. And so I feel like a lot of solutions today are inhibitive in the data tech space. They're not made this way. I'm not saying they have to be web-based. I agree with you, Jordan. I agree that there are disadvantages and advantages to each side, but they need to be easy. They need to be able to adopt it easy. And one thing that I think would solve that is that these data tech companies need to start thinking like product companies. They need to start thinking less like data analytics organizations and, oh, we're only catering to people that understand analytics. They need to actually develop their product with a product development lifecycle. So things like design sprints in the beginning to really determine what are the actual requirements. And that's why if anyone is watching this who is in this space of like BI notebooks, or I don't even know what, I wouldn't even call this BI notebook. I would call this like transparent data explanation format, blah, blah, blah. I'll come up with some cool acronym later. These are my 5 criteria. They are equally important. All 5. There's no waiting. These are the 5 criteria. Anything else on top of that is like cool. It's like icing on the cake. But this is necessary. This is the minimum requirement for what the product should be. Of course, if it looks great, if it has, you know, the ability to save color palettes and all kinds of cool stuff in that, fantastic. But the ability to save color palettes is not going to save the whole solution if I can't even version my code or version the things that I'm publishing, for example. So I'm not going to rant anymore. I'm going to say that trying to install Python, if this works, then we might be able to go a bit further next time. The next stream will be on Monday. It definitely will be on Monday. I'll let this next track play, and then I think we'll close things out slowly. Maddie 2 rant. Yeah. Actually, I need to go take a peeky peek at someone who is streaming, because there's a chance, I will let you know in a moment, there's a chance that someone is streaming that we should be watching. I think yes. So yeah, CM Griffing's online, but there's someone important that we're going to need to raid, and you will see why in a moment, but I will explain shortly, briefly. A few weeks ago I commissioned sub emotes because a lot of you are subscribed, which I think is great. Thank you, by the way. I am truly appreciative of people who are subscribing to my content. I think that's something that is still unbelievable for me, that people would want to come back every week and listen to me rant about things like BI notebooks. But there you go. It's, you know, obviously people enjoy this kind of stuff, I guess. So a few weeks back, I commissioned with a good friend of mine who also streams on Twitch. I commissioned emotes because she's very good at doing it. And I thought, what better way to reward a friend of mine by giving her my emotes to do? And of course, paying her for that. And so she's actually streaming right now. She is streaming the work that she's doing to create my emotes. So isn't that cool that actually you can already get a peek behind the scenes in the creation process of the emotes that are going to be coming very soon. We've gone through a few iterations on the drafts about the style and that kind of stuff. And she's working on a very cool, one today, definitely. So we'll stop teasing and let's go. I will say my final words about BI notebooks. I will continue this topic on Monday. Until then, I will actually do the prep that I can use Jupyter notebooks properly with Python, because I think it's very cool. I will try and already connect to Postgres and get that out of the way, because we have some cool data sets in there. And then we could already practice some of the R that I've been learning the past few streams on DataCamp. If you're interested in doing those, learning R, I can highly recommend the course. So far, it's quite good. So we'll stop teasing, and that means we need to transition. If you're here for the first time, then you need to know that this is a tradition that we have at the end of the stream. That we say thank you, because it is I really appreciate all of you. I think it's so great that people come in here and want to learn together and discover things together, and I'm learning from all of you just as you're learning from me. And thank you today goes to a lot of different people. Of course, everybody who has joined from the various raids. Thank you to everyone who raided. Professional grade beginner raided, White Panther raided. I believe there was another raid as well. Was there a third raid? Is that possible? I think there was even a third raid. No, there's two raids. But thank you to everyone who followed. You can see them here. This side? Yeah, this side. Lots of new followers. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to also everyone who subbed and who gifted subs. Super appreciative. Thank you, Indie Monkey. I'm glad you enjoyed. I shall be seeing you all on Monday at 9 p.m. CEST. Same start time as today, same start time as always. And we shall be raiding. We are going to be raiding Mere. That is the correct pronunciation of her stream. I hope you all have a good weekend and enjoy yourselves, and do light up her chat, say hello, and I hope you enjoy what she's doing. Bye bye. Oh, that timing was poor. Should have ended like just a little bit before. Oh well.